Good evening, everybody.
It's really lovely to be here tonight and to have the opportunity to share a little of my story with all of you. So we're all here tonight for various reasons, and I'm going to tell you why Spinal Injury Scotland is such an important charity and what they do for so many people, and more in particular what they've done for me. So I'll start with telling you just a little bit about myself. My name's Michelle, I'm 41, married with 4 children, and I've got a spinal cord injury. I was an intensive care nurse. I've been doing this for years. I absolutely loved my job. It never felt like work. I loved everything about it, from the patients, families, my colleagues, and the opportunity to have begun studying for my master's degree. So one night, I was on night shift working in the hospital as usual. One of the doctors dropped his pen. I bent over to pick it up for him and had this searing pain shoot across the bottom of my back. And I just remember feeling frozen. I couldn't move up, couldn't move down. I actually got one of my colleagues to push me onto a chair. I managed to get back up, finished my shift, albeit in a lot of pain. I struggled to walk around, but I pushed through, thinking the best thing to do is keep moving. I assumed it was just chronic back pain that had potentially exacerbated, but I was so wrong. 2 weeks later, I was 3 surgeries in and I struggled to walk. I was in hospital for about 2 months and I left there hobbling with leg splints and a fancy Zimmer frame. I never understood the extent of my injury or the implications of my condition. It was the middle end of December and I was just excited to go home for Christmas with my husband and children. What I didn't realise in the discharge is that when I left I actually still had a clot in my spinal canal. I kept falling but I didn't know why. But I was determined to improve. I was told I could have recovery right up until 2 years post-injury, so there was hope and I knew that I would recover well. As time progressed, I continued in denial. After many falls, broken bones and an eventual head injury from a tumble down the stairs, the stark reality of my situation began to sink in. I refused to use a wheelchair because I was convinced it would make me disabled. What I didn't want to acknowledge was that my life now was very different from how it had once been. I spiralled into a pit of depression and I didn't know how I was meant to function. Things that were once so simple, so basic, all of a sudden they were literally impossible. I tried to just focus on getting through each day, one at a time. I was around at home on my wheelchair. I would try to move my legs, I would try to stand, try to walk. I actually remember having dreams that I was able-bodied again, and I would cry as I tried to stand up and realise I just crumpled to a heap on the floor, and it happened so many days, more than I can even count. So the magic 2-year recovery period was drawing to a close, and I was holding out hope that everything was going to be well again. In 2021, I hit the 2-year mark and thought, just get through Christmas, get into the new year. So 2022, New Year came and passed, and I had to face facts with my disability. I was medically retired as an ICU nurse, had to abandon my degree, and all at the grand age of 39, I was retired. I knew that I was no longer able to walk at all, had no control of my lower body, and to be honest, I didn't want to accept that. I mean, how can I live with things being so differently, and how am I meant to live being in physical pain every day of my life? I was so broken. I cried and cried, and the whole depth of despair that I had tried to shut out came full force, and this is when I hit the darkest point in my whole life. I felt as though I was a burden to my husband, my children, my parents, my friends, and everybody. I genuinely believed at that time that I would be doing everybody a favour if I just departed the world. So I contacted Dignitas in Switzerland and actually joined to become a member, with a plan to go there to end my life. I told my husband how I felt. I had been hiding it from so many people, but he saw how I really was. I was so mentally broken that I genuinely thought he was going to be happy. He was so angry, and he asked why would I leave him and my 4 children who he knew that I loved more than anything in this life. I tried to explain this is a good thing. You can meet somebody so much better than me. The kids can be happier without me. I truly believe that is how people would feel if I was gone. That night, I remember I cried for hours and I had lost everything. The only thing I had that I felt I could hold on to was my faith. And I remember praying and saying, if I'm not meant to do this, I need a sign. So, the next day I got a call from a GP, totally out of the blue. She put in a referral for me to a charity called Spinal Injury Scotland, because she didn't know why, but she just thought I needed support. I feel like this is the answer to my prayer. I'd never even heard of the charity, if I'm totally honest with you guys, but they were literally life-saving for me. They reached out to me, and for the first time in 2 years, I actually felt normal. By the end of the call, I remember just being totally at ease, laughing and joking for the first time in so long. I was invited to attend one of the online events, which was a virtual meeting from the charity. Online, I just saw so many people living their best lives, and despite their challenges, which are so many, they were happy, they were incredible, they were so inspiring to me. I don't know how they managed to be happy, but I remember at the time, I just thought, I want a bit of that. I felt like I was starting to have hope. And one thing that I'm so grateful for as well is that even when I had no hope and I didn't feel that I wanted to be here anymore, my family and friends had hope in me and saw potential that I couldn't see. So thank you to my family and friends who really, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here either. So the more I became involved with Spinal Injury Scotland, the more people I met. I wanted to set myself a challenge. At that time, last year, it was taking part in a fundraising event called Des Clarke. We travelled all over the country raising awareness. I was away from my family, sometimes staying in hotels of my own, and that was a big deal, and to be honest, I did wonder if I would be able to manage. I learned more about the charity, and I made it my mission to help raise the profile through social media and through speaking to press. We were actually helping the time we were allowed on still walks. One of my key memories happened in Aberdeen when I was meeting one of the volunteers there, and I realised this was the first person I had met that was in a wheelchair since my spinal injury. I was already 2.5 years in. This man proved to me that there is life after spinal injury. To physically see it for real in person makes me even more determined to thrive. So I then booked flights to California, decided when travel to Aberdeen alone, I can fly across the world alone. Went away, part business, part pleasure, and that was me. I was off. Not only could I survive this, I was going to live. So the charity invited myself and my family to Castle Central, something else amazing they do, and it was the first time that we were able to take part in a family sporting activity, and the first time I saw a hand cycle, and for me, that was the icing on a cake, because my older son and my older daughter, when they were younger, we used to go out cycling, and I was so upset that I couldn't cycle with my younger two kids anymore. However, I never could with a hand cycle. I didn't think that would be an opportunity I would ever have. Before you knew it, I was out every week with the coach. My kids love it, and it was amazing for me to see my kids laughing and wanting to race me. And obviously I let them win. The only thing I do wish I had found a charity much earlier in the start of my spinal injury journey. It would not have changed my condition, and my physical health would be exactly as it is now. However, we're not just robots with physical bodies. Spinal Injury Scotland helps support me emotionally, mentally, socially, spiritually, and I truly believe that meeting this charity was the answer that I prayed for that night. So I'm pleased to say as well that I'm no longer a member of Dignitas. So thank you to Spinal Injury Scotland, thank you for what you do, and thank you to Digby Brown for running this amazing, phenomenal evening where we get to talk about how Spinal Injury Scotland genuinely saved lives.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle offered up her thank you. So now we thank her, keep the ovation going.